Back in front of the whiteboard, today we're talking about proprioception and interoception, what each of them are, why it's important to train them, and how we go about training them. These are not opposite ends of the spectrum, this versus this. They both play for the same team. They both fall under the same umbrella of injury prevention and just overall becoming a better mover, which leads to being a better athlete. These are just tools in the toolbox that we can pull out when we find it necessary. So proprioception boils down to our ability to control our body in space. This comes in a lot of different forms, but balance training is a way of proprioceptive training. Balance, coordination. If somebody has been exposed to a lot of different movement patterns growing up, or they've played a ton of different sports, they probably have pretty good proprioception, because this goes hand in hand with our ability to choose the best movement solution. The best movement solution as it relates to proprioception can be surface level, but also very intricate and very minute. So what I mean by that is choosing the best movement solution can be coming off of this pin down. Do I go left, right, and pivot into it? Do I hop and turn as I'm catching to shoot it? So that's kind of surface level. If somebody was watching you do that, they could notice the difference between those two. But it can also get very minute to muscles and tendons and joints. And as I'm making this cut and changing direction, what area of my foot am I placing the most force to then feel the most explosive going the other way? So it's surface level, but it can also get very minute, very like exercise science. But what it boils down to is our ability to control our body in space, balance, coordination, stuff like that. So why it's important is because the more information we have, the better decisions we can make. So I'm gonna kind of intertwine why it's important and how to train it. So a great way to challenge balance or proprioception is eyes closed training. So if I have an athlete stand on one foot and close their eyes and try to balance for a minute, by 30, 40 seconds, you're gonna start to feel a burn in maybe your calf, or you're gonna feel like you're tilting this way, but then like your ankle muscles might fire up to kind of pull you back to center. These are like micro muscles, or co-contractors is what they're sometimes called, but all it is just these like small micro stabilizing muscles that are turning on to accomplish the task. So like another way to do that, another way to train proprioception is barefoot training. So if I have an athlete, let's say we're outside barefoot, we are freestyle dribbling without the basketball. One, when the ball is not in their hands, they're not worried about turning it over. So they're gonna be more inclined to explore different movements, different things that they otherwise wouldn't try. But two, because they're barefoot, think about, you got 5 toes, and then think about all the muscles and tendons and joints that are in the foot that are interacting with the ground. By being barefoot, you're receiving more information about your environment. So to go back to the change of direction example, is you're getting more in tune with what tendons and what joints, and how do I need to shift my weight, onto what joints do I need to shift my weight to then change direction. Change direction more explosively. So that's what I'm saying, is like the more info we have, the better decisions we can make on how to rotate my hips, how to put pressure into my foot, into the ground to explode the other way. So more information leads to better decisions, which leads to more in-game results. That's what it's all about. So proprioception is our ability to control our body in space. This is balance training, this is coordination training, this is playing different sports, being a better mover, being exposed to different movement solutions. All this in an effort to be exposed to more information, which allows us to make better decisions. We can do barefoot training, eyes closed training. The creativity is the only limitation, really. Another tool that we can add in our toolbox is interoception. So interoception sounds a lot like introspective, and it kind of goes hand in hand. So What interoception is awareness of our body internally, essentially. So just being aware of, how am I breathing? Is most of the air going into my chest? Is it going into my stomach? How does my ankle feel compared to yesterday? Oh, it's like just slightly tighter or whatever it is. Like just being aware of the different sensations that are in our bodies. As I'm going about my day, how's my posture? Am I leaning forward? Do I need to roll my shoulders back? Stuff like that. So why this is important to train: injury reduction and prehab. The more aware we are of what's going on in our body, the more we can be ahead of the curve. So if I'm snaking a ball screen, changing direction, and I feel that, damn, like my hip is just a little bit tighter than it was yesterday, I need to like do some mobility or whatever it is. The idea is you're noticing that when the pain is at a 2 out of 10 instead of an 8 out of 10. Because if we only notice it when it's an 8 out of 10, then you're sitting out for X amount of weeks, whatever the case may be. So we're just getting ahead of the curve by being in tune with our body, being aware of what's going on. So 2 ways we can train this. One is mindfulness, which all that is just getting into the habit of being aware of our body. So this could be as simple as literally just going about your day, doing what you need to do, and doing everything I just mentioned, like noticing your breathing. Is it going into my chest, into my belly? How's my posture? Just being aware of different sensations as you're going about your day. So then this could also take the form of like setting aside 5-10 minutes of closing your eyes and breathing and just scanning your body of different sensations, what comes up. Another way to train this is intuitive stretching. This is one of my favorites that I love doing. So this is setting aside however long you want, 20, 30 minutes, an hour, and you're stretching or just doing different movements, but you don't go into it with a set plan. You go into it with the intention of just listening to your body. Like, okay, my hamstrings are kind of tight today, let me do that. Or like as you're in your current stretch, you're thinking about, oh yeah, this would hit right now if I did some downward dog or whatever it is. But the idea is you're just listening to your body, paying attention to like what muscles need extra attention that day, what positions feel great. But the idea is you're just tapping in and listening to your body. And over time, that becomes a habit. It becomes easier and easier. So these are not opposite ends of the spectrum. They go hand in hand. These are just tools in the toolbox that we can bring out whenever we feel necessary. But they both fall under the same umbrella of not only potentially reducing injuries, but also just becoming a better mover, which allows you to become a better athlete.